This is Kevin. I'm really excited about displaying and showing you my Theban army. It's my idea of what the Thebans might have looked like. Of course, you could paint it any way that you want, but this was how I wanted my Theban army to look. And I built it because it is a wonderful example of a Greek city-state that was democratic, fighting against the great power of the day, the Spartans, who were ruled by a dual kingship, and they were brutal. Yeah, this army was purchased. I painted it, but it was purchased. The figures are from Museum Miniature. They're their brand new line that they came out with. They're absolutely fantastic. Probably the nicest Greek figures I've ever painted. The poses, the armor, I mixed them all up to show more of a citizen army. And they were really easy to paint, fun, and they just look fantastic. I wanted them all in white shields with the club of Hercules on the shields, and just all looking white in comparison to my Spartans that were all red, or the Athenians that you will see next, which were very, very colorful and different. But I think that they turned out extremely nice. I mean, why did I paint a Theban army? I mean, most people don't even know where Thebes is located, but it's just a little bit to the north and west of Athens. The city no longer exists. It was destroyed by Alexander the Great. It is, I think, one of the greatest armies in history because it brought about the downfall of the power of the age, the Spartans. At a famous battle called Leuctra, where everything changed. But this Theban War that broke out in 378 BC, after the Peloponnesian War between Sparta and Athens, was pretty much Sparta's own making. The king's peace that was in place at the time, Sparta basically held the strongest position in Greece and really had no equal to her challenge. But in 382, an opportunity arose for them to take over Thebes and other cities and place garrisons in those towns, which really was against what they had agreed to do. For almost 3 years, both Thebes and Sparta danced in Boeotia, Phocis, and around the Peloponnese. Never really coming to battle except for some small confrontations. Some of those were quite significant, but it wasn't until 371 that the Spartans and the Thebans came to battle at Leuctra. And Leuctra was one of the greatest victories in Greek history of Thebes, a small city-state, with an army that hadn't been proven, destroying the might of Sparta on that field. And it was really Epidamnus that had come up with a special plan to defeat the Spartans, and it was for the time, it was ingenious. As you can see, how I've set up the battle map with the forces out there is exactly what it might have looked like at Leuctra. But despite all the new developments in light armed and cavalry warfare, Spartan supremacy in Greece was finally brought to an end by developments in hoplite warfare itself. So at Leuctra in 371 BC, under what I would call the inspired leadership of Epidamnus and Pelopidas, the Thebans massed a phalanx of 50 ranks in depth on their left wing against a Spartan phalanx only 12 men deep. As it attacked, the Theban line was deliberately slanted forward towards the left so that the Spartan right wing, the traditionally strong wing of a Greek phalanx, was overwhelmed before the less reliable contingents of the Theban allies had time to engage. With the Spartan king in command, he saw what was intended, and he tried at the last moment to reinforce the threatened wing and to envelop the attacking Thebans but the prompt and vigorous charge of a Theban corps of elite known as the Sacred Band gave the Spartans no time to complete the necessary movers. The Spartans were caught in a disarray, and the king himself, Clombrotus himself, was killed at a very early stage in the battle. This dramatic defeat of Sparta at the Battle of Leuctra lent new impetus, I would say, to the revival of citizen morale throughout Greece in general, and in Thebes in particular. The realization that the Spartans were no longer invincible created a power vacuum inside Greece that the Thebans were all too happy to fill. The most striking feature of this Theban military revival was the corps of elite soldiers known as the Sacred Band. So according to tradition, this 300-strong Sacred Band was formed by pairs of lovers. For the Greeks, they didn't regard homosexuality as perverse. The idea of lovers or lover's squad was in fact older than the Sacred Band, and in Homer's Iliad it suggested that a unit composed of close kinsmen would be good for military morale. This was an elite fighting unit that was renowned. And I think that I tried to paint it as best that I could, knowing it was 300 soldiers strong. But it was really a deciding factor in the defeat of the Spartans. But this is my army to represent those great men on that day that changed the life and the geography of Greece forever.